Hello and a very warm welcome to this edition of France in Focus. Here's a look at what's grabbing the headlines this week. Foul play on the football field. A day of scandal sees leaders of the Olympique de Marseille team taken in for questioning about illicit commissions. And in a separate investigation, 9 officials are arrested for alleged match rigging. More and more people are sleeping rough, up 44% since 2001, according to the latest figures, which estimates that over 100,000 people have no homes to go to. 30,000 of those are children. Finally, we take a trip to the French island nation of New Caledonia, where the Kanak want their independence. They represent 40% of the population. Hundreds of French nationals are thought to have joined the ranks of radical fighters in Iraq and Syria. And this week saw a disturbing development where at least one Frenchman took part in the beheading of hostages. The man in his early 20s is remembered by neighbours as being kind and quiet.
The presence of Maxime Ochar among the perpetrators of an Islamic State group massacre underlines once again the scale of French citizens involved in jihad in Syria. As many as 400 French nationals are believed to be fighting in Syria and Iraq. In Maxime Ochar's home village in Normandy, the locals are in a state of shock.
I recognised him straight away. At first I said nothing, then I realised, and I said to my husband, "That's Maxime."
It really hurts us to think what he has turned into, that he would do such a thing. He'd have to be drugged to become like that. He was a brave kid. No, I can't believe it. It's his parents I feel sorry for.
His parents also learned of his involvement through the media. They now have gone into hiding. Maxime Ochar had told his friends and family he was working as a humanitarian in Syria.
He said he was helping children, bringing them to school.
He was a convert to Islam, as have been many young Frenchmen who have gone off to fight. Many have even come from non-religious backgrounds, such as this woman's son, who died in jihad.
He didn't smoke anymore, he stopped going out to nightclubs, stopped drinking, seeing girls. That was a bit too much for me, because I said to him, religion is one thing, but you should think of your future. Just because you believe in Islam doesn't mean you can't live your life.
French authorities have opened a free phone number for parents who might be worried their children are at risk of becoming jihadists.
On Tuesday, police rounded up 12 football officials accused of foul play. 3 were brought in for questioning in relation to the transfer of a player from Toulouse to Marseille back in 2010. 9 others accused of alleged match rigging have also been benched.
It's been a dark Tuesday for French football, with dozens of arrests and raids over possible corruption and match fixing. Caen and Nîmes officials are suspected of fixing a Ligue 2 game last season, allowing Nîmes to avoid relegation. The presidents of the two clubs were among several officials taken into custody on Tuesday. The French league president said the clubs could be expelled from the league should the allegations be proven.
Si ces soupçons sont avérés.
If these suspicions are confirmed, this will be an extremely serious case for French football, for the professional league which organizes the championships, and for myself. Corruption, or even the mere suspicion of corruption, or match fixing, are a lethal poison for our sport and for sport in general.
About 20 years ago, French football had already been rocked by a match-fixing scandal involving the southern club of Marseille. The club, currently at the top of Ligue 1, is back in the spotlight, this time regarding suspicious transfers. Marseille's current president, as well as 2 of his predecessors, were taken into custody and grilled by the police. At the heart of the probe is this player, star striker André-Pierre Gignac. Investigators are trying to determine whether his transfer from Toulouse came with illicit commissions.
They sleep rough or in emergency shelters, and their numbers are growing. There's now over 100,000 homeless people in France. That's 44% more than when the survey was last taken back in 2001. A quarter of them have a job, but simply can't pay for a home.
This woman works, but she can't afford a home of her own. 55 and originally from Senegal, she's relied on homeless shelters since she lost her job 2 years ago. She's only managed to find part-time, poorly paid work in day camps for kids and retirement homes.
When I see my stuff in boxes, I feel like I'm going through a crisis. It's a whole life. When am I going to have a normal life again? Last month I got paid 163 euros. What am I going to do with that? What landlord would offer me an apartment for 163 euros?
She's not the only one. A quarter of France's homeless work. 8 people in this shelter also have jobs.
Over the years, we've seen more and more people in employment who still have to rely on shelters.
France's National Statistics Office released new data this week showing 81,000 adults and 31,000 children are homeless. Of the 1/3 who don't speak French, the majority are women and children from the Middle East and Central Europe. The latest figures also show 40% of France's homeless suffer from mental illnesses. Daniel is one of them. He's been mentally ill since he was a teenager and has come to meet a therapist from the charity Médecins du Monde.
So you spent time getting help for a psychiatric illness?
Well, that happened a long time ago. That's in the past.
The therapists can only offer limited treatment.
The biggest difficulty is seeing people more than once, so we can create a relationship with them, engage with them, help them with a little therapy, even if it's not much. When we try to see them again, when we give them an appointment for the next week or month, it's extremely rare for them to come back.
The latest statistics also show more homeless people live in the Paris area than in the rest of France's cities put together.
Well, we're now in the Maison de la Nouvelle-Calédonie, a sort of embassy, if you like, for New Caledonia here in Paris. French presence on the Pacific island nation is going to be put to a vote. They've been promised a referendum on autonomy since 1998, and during a recent visit, President François Hollande confirmed that a vote would be held before the end of 2018. The Kanak, the native people that represent 40% of the population, generally want to go it alone.
François Hollande paid his first visit to New Caledonia on Monday, and he was maintaining a strict neutrality, visiting the graves of both pro-independence leader Jean-Marie Tjibaou and the pro-French Jacques Lafleur. He also said the state would keep its promise on the planned independence referendum.
France's position is that this vote will happen at the chosen time.
The referendum is due to take place by 2018 at the latest. It will be the culmination of a process that began in bloody fashion in 1988 when pro-independence militants from the territory's indigenous Kanak people took French gendarmes hostage, killing 4 of them. A military operation later freed the hostages, leaving 19 Kanaks and 2 French soldiers dead. The Matignon Agreement signed the following month in Paris brought both Tjibaou and Lafleur to the table and gave New Caledonians the right to self-determination. 10 years later, the Nouméa Accords scheduled the transfer of power by 2018, pending a referendum. Opinions are divided over how viable an independent New Caledonia could be.
We have, of course, potential in resources, beginning with the sea, but also services in tourism and other important sectors like food and agriculture. So it is possible for us to organize all that.
Pro-independence activists point to the fact that New Caledonia has a higher GDP per capita than New Zealand and holds 25% of the world's nickel reserves. But the metal is subject to volatile price fluctuations, and opponents of independence say the territory is heavily dependent on support from Paris.
If France left, the standard of living in New Caledonia would drop. All the social subsidies sent here and which don't exist elsewhere in the Pacific would be gone. we wouldn't be able to get what we need.
Many Caledonians who turned out to greet President Hollande on Monday have no desire to break free.
France is our homeland. We were born French and will die French.
There's no question of having another nationality. We're French.
For the moment, the anti-independence movement has the upper hand. Polls say 60% of Caledonians want to stay part of France.
Well, that wraps up this week's show. We're going to leave you now with some festive pictures from Paris as the Christmas decorations light up the Champs-Élysées.